bad air gap or bad eccentricity would be the one picture to the right, where we see here the air gap fluctuates as it rotates 360 degrees between the rotor and the stator. Now, the graph on the right shows what potentially could happen is if this rotor rubs against the stator, you could cause serious damage to not only the rotor but to the stator, which would require potentially a catastrophic failure and an immediate repair or replacement of that motor. Now, some of the problems with the air gap that cause an air gap could be a warped or bowed rotor. In this case here, if you go into your warehouse or your stores and you have motors that have been in place or sitting in the warehouse for the last year or 2 years, gravity takes effect. It could be bowing those rotors. So it's important to have a program in place to go in every quarter, every 6 months to rotate the shaft of the motor, so that it doesn't just sit and gravity doesn't focus on one area of that shaft. You could have cocked end valves, you could have misalignment, or soft foot. Any one of these conditions could cause a potential eccentricity issue. Now, how would we diagnose this with our Emax technology? Well, with the Emax, we're going to look for rotor bar path frequency, or the number of rotor bars times speed. And we call that eccentricity frequency. Once we've found eccentricity frequency, we will look for the first eccentricity sideband of line frequency, which appears at plus or minus 60 Hertz. Then we would look for the third harmonic sideband of line frequency, which appears at plus or minus 180 Hertz from the eccentricity frequency, which would be here and here. We want to make sure that these sidebands are not harmonics of the fundamental frequency, which in this case would be 60 Hertz. We also want to look to see if these peaks are greater than 20 dB above the noise threshold. And with PDMA Corporation, we highlight the 20 dB threshold with red and yellow lines. So once we go above this, then we say with Emax we have a potential eccentricity issue. The next step would be to correlate it with another technology. In this case, we can utilize our MCE technology, whereby we put a high frequency field into the stator, about 1200 Hertz, and then we rotate we measure the inductance as we rotate the shaft or the rotor through a 360 degree revolution, so one full turn. And if we have issues with our air gap, what we'll see is that inductance measurement will change as it gets closer or further away from the stator field, and it plots out something like this. Once we've found a correlation between the MCE and the Emax and maybe vibration equipment, we can then secure this motor and perform a visual inspection. If we find that it's a soft foot issue, we should fix the soft foot issue and then restart the motor and do our tests again with the Emax and with the MCE and verify that that condition has significantly decreased.